Okay, so good morning, everybody. And what we thought we'd do today is, well, first of all, the slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We shall persevere until we succeed. And the only way you can fail at anything in life is if you quit. So today we're going to talk about luck and define luck. What is it? We're going to chat a little bit about luck because it's a pertinent subject. But we're also going to ask questions. We'd rather talk with you than to you. Because what we do on these calls usually is just say a bunch of stuff. We think about it. We impart our thoughts with you. And hopefully some of it is useful and some of it you act on. And hopefully, we progress in our journey of success and wherever we are. But it's important also to ask some pertinent questions and to get some answers from you. So, for example, we talk about luck. People talk about, wow, this guy's so lucky, man. He's already got whatever, a new house and another house and a spare apartment at the beach. And wow, how lucky. So luck is where opportunity meets preparation. There are many, many definitions of it, but luck is actually where you've got to get into a mindset of work and your mindset, and to be mentally prepared to do the work, because there are many opportunities that come to us every day, every month, every week, or whatever, every year, but we're not mentally prepared or financially prepared to be able to take advantage of those opportunities. So we've got to really work at it. So here are a couple of questions. What is the task before us in this business? To lead and create an army of inspired people to make significant changes to the status quo and deteriorating sick care industry and make a decent living from doing this. Can we really become passionate about what we're doing? So first of all, we've got to define what it is that we want, that we're looking at. What is the task? What do we need to do? So lead an army of inspired people to make significant changes to the status quo, deteriorating sick care industry, and make a decent living from doing this. Can we be passionate about doing this? Are there such people around? Are you those people? Are we those people? Where do we find them? How do we inspire them? What are the personality traits and work ethics we're looking for? Do the people that we talk to know what they want? Do you know what you want? Really? Precisely? What kind of people are we in our communities, in our families, in our lives? How do we create a committed, loyal team? Are we good leaders? Are we really leading by example? How do we gauge the progress? What are the yardsticks? Questions for us to think about. We're halfway through this year. We made some commitments at the beginning of the year. We didn't hold anybody accountable, but everybody supposedly made some commitment in January or December last year for this year. Have you kept to them? How many of us have qualified for the next trip? There's a yardstick. Realistically, what are the points on which we need to improve? Are we addressing those? So there are a bunch of questions, and they're all relevant, particularly to everything we do. So we've got a whole lot of, obviously, the type of question per people we're looking for and so on. We can put that on our LinkedIn and so on. But we thought we'd put that out first, and then, Dan, if you want to add to that, and then we'll come and get somebody with whom we can talk.
Yeah, I want to go back to that, the lucky part. I follow a lot of very influential people on social media. I'm very interested in what they have to say because they've been successful in their particular fields. And so, success leaves clues, and there's always good information by, following some very influential people, surrounding yourself with good people, not only in your daily personal life, but, in social media, and reading the right books that are going to help you grow personally and professionally. And I follow one guy in particular, Dr. Matt Barber, who's created an unbelievable brand in orthopedics on LinkedIn. And he did a post this week. And he said, it's amazing how all the luckiest people I know are also the hardest workers in almost any room they enter. And that rings true with me. It's not about being lucky. It's about putting in the time, putting in the effort. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. It's the old saying. We don't sit back and rest on our laurels. We always are working. We're always grinding, whatever grinding means for you. For me, grinding means working as hard as I can in a short period of time, the most efficient, to be the most efficient that I can to get the work done that I need to get done to be successful. And so, we not only need to know ourselves and if we're a right fit for this business, are we passionate about this business? Are we inspired by others in this business? Are we inspired by what Nu Skin and Pharmanex and the products they give us and the technology and how we use those things? But it's not just about us in this business. It's about others in this business, more importantly. And so we have to not only know ourselves, but we have to learn how to identify the right people for our teams as well. So, how do we do that? What are we looking for? Who are we looking for? How are we looking for them? There's a couple of things that I look for. I look for goal setters, people who know how to set goals and effectively develop a plan to execute on those goals. I want servant leaders. I want people that are more interested in serving the team than they are serving themselves. If you're a true leader, you seek to serve your team, and I'm looking for leaders. Do they have a strong work ethic? Do they recognize the irreplaceable value of hard work and what it takes to achieve not only your professional goals, but your financial goals? And then, they have to have high integrity. They uphold high standards of professionalism and ethics, and they embrace the opportunity to become a highly visible member of our community. That's what I'm looking for. And just, as a side note, I want people with a proven history of leadership, management, sales. If they don't have sales experience, they have to at least be coachable. Do they have excellent communication and presentation skills? And then most importantly, probably for me, is that they need to be a self-starter. They have to be motivated and they have to be driven to succeed. And that's what each and every one of us should be looking on, because our team, our business relies on being able to identify the right people for our teams. And when I first got into this business, I would take all comers. Anybody who liked what we were doing, anybody who was interested, not committed, because there's a difference. We get a lot of people that are interested, but they're not committed. They're not committed to invest their money to build a business. They're not committed to our team. They're not committed to, upholding the standards that we have for our team, and working every single day towards their goals and towards their success. And so I kind of made a shift away from finding people that are interested to really identifying those people that are committed. And, to find people that are committed, we need to be ultra committed, because we need to drive that passion and that inspiration. But I don't want you to confuse that with, identifying people with passion and commitment. I don't want you to confuse that with people that are just looking for something to do or be part of a community. We certainly want them to be part of our community. We certainly want them to be inspired by what we're doing, but we don't want to get people that's all that they're doing, is just being part of our community. We need to find a way to get everybody, not only in our organizations, but on these calls. How do we get people to be more engaged? How do we get people to rise up to be leaders within this organization and be vocal about what they want from these organizations, what they want from these calls? It's really important. Lawrence and I spend a lot of time preparing for these calls, and we talk all the time, are these calls useful? Are we getting through to people? Are we helping people? Are we serving others in a way that's helping them? And, we just don't get a lot of feedback. I mean, we get it, at the end of the call, we get, hey, it was a great call, this and that. But, sometimes we need more than that to keep this thing going. That's one of the things that Lawrence and I consistently talk about is, how can we serve everyone on these calls better?
So on exactly that point, I was just, as you were just saying this last bit, Dan, I was remembering there's a leader, her name is Maria Briceño. She's from Venezuela. She came to the States. And I remember when we still had, I think it was the other video things we used to have, wasn't WhatsApp, it was something else. And she would get on a call, and every single day, she was making her calls. And I occasionally would look on there. Sometimes she had nobody, but she was on all the time, every day. Then she'd have 3 people, then 5 people. Then she'd have 10, then she'd have 3, then she'd have 4, then she'd have 20. Well, today, when she does a call, if you're not in the first 500 people, in literally before it even starts, you're not even going to get on. So what is that? That's leading by example, by actually being committed to doing something no matter what, because that was her passion. She chose this business as a passion. That was her passion. And she chose to do it as a business. And she was so passionate that she was, for weeks and weeks, I was watching her, nobody on the call, but she was perfecting her own mindset as well. So we've got a bunch of leaders on this call. So does anybody want to volunteer that has done something? Has anybody who's been on a trip? Anybody that is on this call, who's actually earned a trip that we can pick on? Has anybody here been on a trip?
Go ahead, you can pick on me.
Who's that? Mike Cook.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So Mike Cook, let me ask you this. Why are you doing this business?
Well, when it was introduced to me by a friend, I saw some monetary potential, and I liked that I was taking the products and that they were working. But as I evolved, the passion for what I'm doing evolved as well. And it's not just about the money anymore. I mean, the money's obviously important. We need money to survive, but it's the passion of the people that I work with, the idea that I'm going to get to know more like-minded people doing this business. And while I'm doing that, I'm expanding my horizons, winning trips and things like that.
Are you a good leader?
I try to be. I'm only my team could judge that.
Define a good leader.
Someone that's consistent, someone that's there, that when the team needs them, someone that says what they're going to do and then does it, showing up, leading by example. Those are some of the attributes of a leader.
I think one of the attributes of a leader and one of the attributes of a good distributor and a sales person is also that you didn't say anything about being great. You don't need to be great. You need to be consistently good. So your goal should be to not be great at what you're doing. Your goal should be to be consistently good. On the days that are hard, on the days where there's setbacks, on the days where there's rejection, how do you push through on those days to still be consistently good? Because those things are all things that can set you up for failure if you let them affect you in the wrong way. But training your mind to be consistently good in the good times and consistently good in the bad times is what's going to differentiate you, make you a great leader, and make you a good business owner and entrepreneur.
It's that consistency. I went for my bike ride this morning, but this morning when I woke up, I really did not feel like going for the bike ride. Really did not. But that's the difference of people that, in my
We lost
opinion.
Michael.
I'm
So,
sorry.
yeah, consistently good.
Yeah.
The next question that goes with that, with leadership, is it all about you, or are you duplicating? Sorry, Michael, we lost you for a minute.
Oh,
How good are you at duplicating? In other words, leadership is not just being out there in the front all the time. It's the general's got to create a lot of officers. The general's out there on his horse in the middle of the battle. That's great. He's leading, but he's also got to have a lot of officers that can bring the army with him, that can all be successful. So
what? That's the ability to delegate authority, right? That's the duplication, delegate authority. But I'm going to differ a little bit with one of the things that you said there, and it goes back to Lao Tzu, that a good leader is also an egotist. They're very egotistical in the fact that they want to succeed, and it's that burning desire, that passion that drives them forward to be consistent and to be a good leader. So it's a little bit selfish on my part, in my opinion, to drive this hard for those on my team as well. But without that passion and that consistency, then I would never be. I don't know if I'm a good leader, but I'd never be a good leader if I didn't have those traits. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I like what you say about being egotistical, because last night I was just reading an article about Yellowstone, the TV show. And for those of you who have seen it, Taylor Sheridan is the writer on that show. He's the director, he's a producer. He spent 20 years in Hollywood and never made it. He had small roles. In about 2018, he finally got somebody to pick up Yellowstone, and that got his career, kickstarted his career. And since then, he's come out with a number of different shows: Wind River, Hell or High Water, Sicario, Mayor of Kingstown, Tulsa King, all these shows that are super hot right now. And he's very egotistical about his writing. He wants to have full control of that because he wants it to be consistently good. And when he's able to control it to a point where he drives the storyline, he drives the writing to make sure that it's consistently good, these shows end up being great. Right? So through being consistently good, not trying to be great, you're going to create greatness because of that consistently good. So I love that. And then, one of the other things I think about, or what extremely successful people do, is they make the impossible possible, and they do it by being resourceful and creative. There's a lot of research out there that shows that most people don't do what is best. They do what is easy. Right? Successful people, on the other hand, they struggle to find a better way. I mean, we have our systems of how we do things, but that doesn't mean that each and every person on this call needs to follow the system. You need to be creative. You need to think outside the box, and really find a way that this business works for you and your personality and those that you bring onto your team.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say also that your comments are incredible, and I'd love to just give my opinion, if I may. I always feel like empowering other people and working on empowering other people is a great leadership trait. And from a personal experience, and I've had a kind of a diverse career, but I've always found that when leading people, working on empowering them for what they want to achieve and helping them has always been a great way to build loyalty, as well as people who are driven and motivated because they feel like you're focused on what works for them and what empowers them, and helping them to identify the things that will make them just like you want them to be and just like you. So, I love everything that you guys have said this morning. You're inspiring. But I feel like empowering others is a big part of what we do, is it not?
If you look at the, I spend a lot of time looking at what others are doing in this business, whether it's on Pharmanex or whether it's on the social media, social selling side. And if you will look at what they're doing, 90%, 95% of what they talk about is their community, is helping others achieve their financial goals, having a better lifestyle, more time, things like that. They spend very little time talking about products. They're
Right.
selling a community. They're not selling a product.
Right.
And in my opinion, that's a little bit of the egotistical part of it, is that, you know, you and I particularly, I enjoy when I see the success of others. I'm not, I don't look at that as competition, especially in, when they're on my team, but even my sidelines, I don't consider it competition. I've had other sidelines reach out to help me, and that's just the way that I think. And I know that others don't think that way, and I see that they're limited in what they get done. We need to celebrate everyone's success.
There's also the aim of surrounding ourselves with people who are better than us at whatever we're looking for. And that, I think, is something that inspires us to make sure that we're not falling behind. We've got to stay ahead to make sure that we're not going to let anybody down. And I think Amanda said it right, and I said it over here as well. Our job is to find, and that's why we have these questions where we want now. We're selecting people to come in to work with us. We're asking them what they want and what their characteristics are, because we want to bring them to their maximum level of work, of success according to their work ethic. And that's why we're looking for leadership. That's why we want to be leaders, and we want to make sure that we're effective leaders and successful leaders. The only way we can do that is by seeing how many people we inspire to reach their success. And that's why we were asking all these questions this morning. How do we create a committed, loyal team? All of these questions that we were asking this morning was just to be able to make a team that will make a difference to themselves, to their lives, to their families, to their communities. And if we are leaders, as we like to think we are, then we've got to make sure that we don't slack off. And we're inspired as well, because it's a two-way street. As Dan was saying this morning, we need to know if we're making a difference. We need to know. I mean, we've been doing these calls for years now, and we need to know that people are really taking advantage of some of the things that we may say that are useful.
Yes, we do. We do, Lawrence. And I think that, you will always have to ask that question, because, when you are leading, you are often the ones that don't get the feedback you need. And so I want your job. I want Dan's job. I want everyone else's job who has built a great business. And again, it's about empowering people. And so your calls empower me. And, whenever I have had sales teams under me, I always used to say to people, if you don't want my job, then you're probably not right for the team. You want to be me, and you want to be better than me. And I want those people on my team. And, but when you are that person, you often don't get the feedback. But, you guys do inspire me, and I can't do this without you, because I want to be like you when I grow up.
Thank you. That's
Sweet, thank you.
That's a great compliment. Thank you very much. So one of the things, I try to teach our children is not to take the easy way, not to do what's easy. I always pick the hard way, but the efficient way of doing things. So there's a place about 10 minutes from our house where we go hike, and it's a circular hike, and we can either choose to go up a 500-foot mountain straight up, or we can choose to start the hike by going the easy way up to the top, and then coming down the easy way. So I've gotten the kids in the mindset of wanting to go the hard way to start the hike, and then we can relax on the way down, rather than take the easy way up and the easy way down. And so the thing about that is that once you start taking the hard way consistently, the hard way becomes easier, right? And so to be successful, we don't want to choose what is always easy. I more than likely, 99% of the time, I'm going to choose the more difficult way because it's more rewarding when you actually are successful. But after a period of time, doing that hard way does get easier, if that makes sense. So, I want to look for people who are thinking outside the box, who are, willing to grind, whatever that means for them, and find not the easiest way to do things. Maybe it's a more difficult way to do things, but in the end, it's going to drive a better mindset, better success, more sustainable, more consistent success.
So yesterday, Dr. Joe Scalia and I went to an event, which was put on by one of our close friends. We became close friends, who has he was one of the owners of a bank and sold that for only $2.3 billion, poor guy. Anyway, he's at the University of Nova University. He created a whole center for entrepreneurs. And we went yesterday to listen to we listened to 4 pitches. And one of the pitches was from a girl who's just come from Colombia 1 year ago. And the pitches are presenting a business, a bit like Shark Tank. In fact, just like Shark Tank. And one of these girls has been here 1 year. She spoke reasonable English. But she came here with just to start with, nothing. And she already has a company which is in the last 4 months has done close to $500,000 in sales. And she chose a subject which was very difficult for her. English wasn't her language. She didn't know anybody. And she came and made a pitch. And they told her that her pitch was so good, they were going to offer $1 million so she could expand this business. And it was a business about helping women with their birthing and the psychological problems they have, prenatal, postpartum, and so on. But I'm just saying, she chose something. She didn't look at whether it was hard or difficult. She looked at something, she put her mind to it, and she said, I'm going for this. And with scarce language, with almost no resources, she suddenly got a company. I think she had already 8 people working with her in this mission. And bingo, she didn't realize how difficult it would be or how easy it would be. She just got passionate, she put her mind to it, and she just did it. And I think this is something we've also got to do. If we start looking at how difficult something is, oh my gosh, this is huge. No, it's as easy as you want to make it in your mind. And if it's difficult, put it and make it something easy in your mind. Don't worry about it. Just do it. If that's something that you like, but have passion doing it.
All right, Lawrence, it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Anybody got anything else want to add? Nobody? Amanda, thank you. Thanks, Michael. Dan, thanks everybody for
participating.
I want to mention something real quick. You were looking for feedback when the poll came out. And as far as what we do and how we impact people in the world, you never know what you're going to say, how it's going to affect people, and when it's going to affect people. I had coaches 30 years ago that said things that are starting to make sense now, 30 years later. So as far as getting the feedback, yes, what you guys do is amazing. It helps with our mindset, but you never know when that opportunity is going to come where you can actually apply what you're saying and make it, into results that you can measure. So thank you guys for what you do, as always. And Dan, I really like the type of people that you're looking for and the way you spelled it out, self-starters and so on and so forth. So thanks, guys. I appreciate being on the team and I appreciate all you do.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe.
I just wanted to add that I always have respected and appreciate you guys, because time is everything, and that you guys dedicate your time 30 minutes a week to us on this call. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys.
Here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, thanks, everybody. Have a great,
Have a
We
good
have a great
appreciate it.
weekend.
Blessings to everybody.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Rock the end of the month. Make a good end of the month. Rock it.